Do you want to keep your downloads folder clean and keep your computer organized every time you download something new? For example, let's take a look. When we download this image here, it's going to go directly from our downloads folder and go right into a specific directory that you see there inside of our pictures. Alright, taking a look at our code for today's project. As you see, all we're going to need is just a control node for our root, and that's just going to be there to hold on to our script. And we're going to use a timer to have it check every X amount of time. Of course, that's completely up to you how long you have in between. I believe I have mine set to 2 seconds. Roughly 2 seconds, 2.155. But that's going to be completely up to you on how long in between each check you want. If you want it to be every second, every half second, by all means you can. That's completely up to you and your decisions. And you'll see that we also have a signal connected here. And that's just going to be our on timeout signal connected into our script. Now, when our timer times out, all we're going to do is just call our check function. So let's go ahead and jump into our script. First thing we're going to need to, of course, define the different types of files that we're going to use. So, example, something that you're going to download is PNG and JPEG, and JPEG comes in JPEG and JPG, and you can continue to put as many different image extensions as you want. You can do the same thing for audio if you want to keep that organized, and video if you ever download any videos. You're also going to need a path dedicated that to each type depending on where you want it to go. As you can see, I have one for my image and music, so that's just going into my music and picture directory respectively. And that's into a folder I created called downloaded images and downloaded music. Alright, other than that, we're going to get the current date from right up here. And we're obviously going to be updating this as it goes on, but this will help give us a date for the second we run it. Which, of course, it's not needed, but why not? We can just set it up there. And the last variable we're going to need is the path to our downloads folder. That we'll be downloading everything to. Alright, so easily we can start in our ready function. We're just going to start the timer. And when our timer times out, you can go ahead and, if you want, you can print checking. We don't need to. I just use that myself to make sure that it was running properly. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to call check files and pass in that download path. And I'm going to start the timer again. Alright, so now inside of our check files function, that's going to have a path as an argument. The first thing we need to do here is we need to create a new directory, a new location for us to search through and get all the files within it. So for that, we can create a new variable. I'd just call it dir, and that's just called directory.new. And then we check if dir.open and pass in that path. If it's okay, so if there's no problem opening this file, then we'll continue. Otherwise, if there is, you can do whatever it is that you want to do here. If you want, you can, of course, instead of printing here, you can do an os.alert, I believe it is. And you can cause, I believe that'll make a pop-up on the user's system with a window, and you can put in there an alert or warning or whatever notification you want to tell the user in there. So, for example, I'll just come in here and I'll do os.alert, and I'll show you how it looks. So text, we just have a string. This is alert text. Then next up we have I'm not mistaken, the title. Alert title. So if I just run this real quick, you'll see this is what we're going to get. Just a little window with a title and some text. So you can definitely use this if your directory path is not okay. And then, of course, after that, you can just call the get tree and close. So you can just close the program if it's not working. So I'll go ahead and just remove that out of my ready now that you guys know what that looks like. All right, so if our path is okay, we're gonna call the function list dir begin, list _ dir _ begin on our dir, and that's gonna start listing out all the files inside of that directory. Now for this, we're gonna use a file name variable, and we're just gonna set this to dir.getNext, and that's basically gonna get the next file inside of our list. So at the moment, it's nothing. Doing this is going to get us the first file inside of our list. In this case, it's going to be the first file in our downloads list. And of course, if you want, you can go ahead and set file name equals dir.getNext again, and that'll get the next file once we're completely done. But everything we're going to put will be in between these two, as you can see here. We're going to have one while loop that runs in between. So what we're going to do is going to say while file name not equal, so exclamation point equals, also known as the walrus. No, wait, that's not the walrus, my mistake. The exclamation point equals, I believe it's called a bang and then equals. Alternatively, if you don't want to write the exclamation point, you can write the word not right here. So while not file name, and then you put equals. So we'll set it so as long while the file name is not equal to an empty string. So basically, while we're not at the end of our list and we still have files, we can check if dir.current is dur. And what this is going to do, this is basically going to check to see if this is a folder, what do you want to do? Now I'm just going to say pass, so that if we run into any folders that can be opened up. Now this does not count any zip folders or anything, but just normal folders like you would navigate around your directory, navigate around in your file explorer or your equivalent on your operating system. But if it is that, then we're just going to pass because we don't want to move those. So everything else, we can go right into our else statement here, because if it's not a folder, it must be a file. So we're going to create a variable for file. So f equals file.new. And then we're going to create a variable for the file time. So what we're going to do with that is that's going to give us the time that the file was created or modified at. Now we're going to set this to f.getModifiedTime. And you can see we're just going to use two placeholders there so we can pass in path and the file name. So this will get the file inside of our download directory that we're looking at. And that's actually going to give us a Unix time. So we have to wrap that around os.get_datetime _from _Unix _time. And that's going to convert our number into a readable time and date. Now that we have that, we can then close our file because that's all we needed to get from it. And then we can call a function called checkTime. Now, all this function is going to do is update our current time variable with os.get_datetime so we can get the current time. That way that can be updated, because remember we set that at the beginning of the program, but if our program's been running for maybe an hour or something, because this is something that you would just leave on all day, right? So if it's been running for a while, obviously the time isn't going to be correct, so we want to update that. And then next, we can check if the file time.hour, because we want to get the hour property of our file time. And we're going to check if that's equal to our current date hour, and we're going to confirm the minutes as well. I am using -7 here, but you can certainly test this and see what the time difference is for you between the Unix time that you get and the time that comes up on your computer. To do this, I just come in here. You can see I just created my check here. So if file name is equal to debug.png, then I would print out the file time and the current date. That way I can compare the two and see what the differences are. And what I would then do is I'd go over to my browser and I would download an image and just name it debug.png. That way, as soon as that got detected, I would get the difference in times. So that's where I'm getting my -7 from here. So for me, I have to set this to -7. Now, when daylight savings time changes, I may have to adjust this again. So you might want to put in check if current time .dst if it's true or false, and then modify the time on that. That might be something that you have to do, and something that you might want to keep an eye on for, keep a check on. And then I just have my little debugs here, so I can get rid of boom. So if our hour and minute are correct, then we can move on and we can check our year, the month, and the day. Now, you could do all these checks on one long line if you want, but I just wanted to break it up into 2 lines here to make it a little easier to look at. And then if all that stuff lines up, then that must be something that we just downloaded. So now we can check if filename.get__ extension. So this is going to get the extension. So we're going to know the file type, whether it's an MP4, OGG, PNG, JPEG, etc. Right? We're going to find out what that is from using filename.get__ extension. So we're basically going to check if that's inside of our image extensions. Remember that list that we put up top here? So if the extension is from our set of images, then we're going to copy the file at that path, at that directory, from here, and then we're going to move it over here to our image path, with the file name, of course. And then we just remove the old one out of our downloads. And likewise, we do a similar thing. Elif, our file, the extension of our file, is inside of our list of audio extensions. Then we'll copy it from our download path, right, our file, and we'll move it to our music path, and then delete the one out of our downloads. And you can do the same thing. You can add another one in there for videos if you wanted to. And that's all there is to it. So if we were to go ahead and run that, and if I brought this folder back up, you would see if I go back over to here, we take a look. Let's take a look at this boy right here. Let's just come in here, image, save as, boom, doesn't matter what my name is. And if we go back over, we can see there it is. So now it gets recognized, it gets picked up, and all you have to do is just run it and just leave it running on your computer while you download something, or just leave it running all day.